Are all these little things destroying your homestead as well? You need to make sure that you can protect your homestead, and that is from everything. And these little guys might be causing all the issues for you, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna defend against a lot of them today. When you have a homestead or a small farm, you understand that how much work you put into to make sure that you're growing your own food in your garden, or taking the best care of these animals that you're raising so that they can help provide for you as well. The last thing you want is for all that to just be wiped out completely by these tiny small things that sometimes you might not even be able to see. So you need to make sure that you are defending what's on your homestead and the stuff that you are raising and taking care of. So today, we're gonna do just that. And yes, I'm talking about the pest, the insects, all the small little bugs that either attack your chickens like mites, or talking about all the different kinds of insects that eat all the different kind of plants that you're growing in your garden. And we have had a problem with both of these two things. So today we're gonna show you how to prevent both those things. Starting with our chickens and mites, we're gonna do a really deep clean of this coop, and we're gonna explain everything that we use and how we do it so that maybe you guys can help prevent mites from coming to your chickens, because if you haven't noticed, flies and all these other kind of insects love hanging around your chicken coop. Let's start with this chicken coop. Let's get cleaning. So the first thing you gotta do is you gotta get all the bedding out of there. So we have a broom to help push it and a nice flat square shovel to help scrape any of the extra bedding, because this is gonna be a big deep clean. I wanna make sure we get all the bedding out of here. So as I was saying, the goal here is to get as much bedding and poop out of this coop as possible. I want all of it if I could, but you're gonna see little pieces are just gonna have to stay after sometimes. We get a wheelbarrow, we set it up right next to the coop. I wish our coop was a little taller so that this wheelbarrow fit perfect, but it isn't, so oh well. This is the true down and dirty work of homesteading. When you see people who have chickens and you think it looks all nice and clean, and you get farm fresh eggs from them and everyone sees all the pretty sides of having chickens, this is the dirty part of it. And this is the part that might make some people realize they don't want chickens. I'm super happy that I installed the vinyl floor, because that allows us to push across this coop much easier. And if needed to clean the coop, it would make it a lot easier for the floor, but usually not much really sticks to the floor. After filling a wheelbarrow full, I'm gonna take this wheelbarrow and bring it over to our compost bin that I have located inside the chicken run. It's been very nice to have the compost bin located in the chicken run. It's made it very convenient for every time that we clean the coop. All right, all set with the bedding clear out. I basically got all the bedding out. I'm very excited about that, because now we can move on to the next step, and I feel like it just looks nice and clean in there. And we have a lot of chickens walking around right now saying, what the heck's going on? So this next part that I'm gonna do now that the bedding's all out of there, this is kind of like the preventative measures to make sure you don't have as many pests going around inside your chicken coop. Normally, I would use DE for this process, but the farm store was out of DE for some reason, and we are out of it at home, so I don't have it. So I bought this instead, which this should work just the same. It has, I don't know how to say it, permethrin maybe? You can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't care. This is gonna help prevent any kind of insects and help kill any of the eggs that are laid or anything like that. It helps dry out the bugs. It's gonna help prevent them laying the eggs and help get them out of your coop and kill them off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sprinkle this on that whole floor before I put the new bedding in, and make sure I hit the roosting bars, because the roosting bars, one of the main spots that mites are gonna try to get to your chickens. So let's put this in here next. While I'm sprinkling this stuff into the coop, I'm just trying to make a nice light coating all around. The main spots though, like I said, I'm gonna focus on is the roosting bar. So make sure you get all of the roosting bars that are inside your coop, and the whole roosting bar if you can. And then you wanna hit the corners extra hard, because that's where bugs like to really build up, is in the corner of your coops. So I'm gonna put a little bit of extra in the corners. And this stuff is safe for your chickens, but it is better if you can get the bedding on top now, so it's not just like they're sitting and rolling in this stuff. But this stuff could be directly put on your chickens if you were ever to see any kind of mites on them. All right, so now I have it all covered in there. So the next part is getting the bedding in. And we just use the large wood shavings, and that's all we put in there, just like your normal stuff. We don't have any kind of secret things. I guess you're not supposed to use cedar wood, so if you're using cedar, you might want to stop that. So luckily for us, one of these big bags of wood shavings fits our coop just perfect. It gives us not too little, but not too much wood shavings in there. So that's just pretty lucky for us. So now the whole inside of the coop is well protected, and we're probably gonna be well off where there's not gonna be too many mite attacks going on. There's still gonna be flies. Flies and chicken coops are just meant to be together. Mites should hopefully be slowed down by the paramethrin that we put inside there. Now that we use the powdered form of that inside the coop, we're gonna use the liquid side of it, and we're gonna spray down the whole outside of the coop to give us one last little barrier, because I really don't want any mite attacks to happen to our chickens. So I have one of these hose connector like spray bottles that we've had from a previous product, but it's all cleaned out, and I put some water in here. And then here is that liquid form of it that I was talking about. There, so you guys can get a good look at what we're using. All you need is a very little bit of this combined with the water. And like I said, we're gonna get the outside of this coop to try to prevent any kind of insects from going inside the wood. Once again, this is something that is safe for your chickens, so if you did want to spray it inside your coop, I just want to make sure that you'd have really good ventilation and enough time for all that to dry before your chickens would spend the night inside your coop. The only time that we've actually sprayed it inside the coop is that when we did have our mite attack going on. Other than that, we've just been spraying the outside of it and then leaving the dry stuff inside to make sure that it's not going to take too long to dry out ever for our chickens. But this is something you can make a little mix of and dip your chickens in as well. So like I said, it is safe for your chickens if you are thinking about doing it. All right, so I will keep that coop door open. I like keeping it open during the summertime anyways, so it doesn't trap too much in there, but now I'll keep that open to make sure everything can kind of air out a lot. But that is kind of how we play war against all the insects for the chickens. Mites are no joke for your chickens. They will cause them to go anemic and can cause death if they are really bad mite attacks on your chickens. So you want to make sure that you're preventing it. And also, if you've seen one of our previous videos, chicken bathing is very important. So if you want to go back and watch that video, it explains all about the reasons why you want your chickens to take dust baths and what to put in them. So go back and watch that too. So we just got done defending our chickens from the pest. Now it's time the garden from the pest. And we just got something that came in the mail that is hopefully going to help this problem. How you doing? You playing with your cars? Your cars? So after extensive research to figure out what we need to do in order to help protect against these pests, it seems like the #1 organic idea that is still safe for the plants and everything for us to eat them is pure neem oil. And this is like one of the very first things that we searched on Amazon. I'll put it in the description below if I remember. If not, remind me in the comments because sometimes I'm very forgetful. We are very excited to try this out because we have been having our fair share of issues here. So this has started to become a huge priority for us to help protect the garden because we first started noticing our squash plants started getting totally eaten and destroyed to a point that we're gonna have to pull them out of the ground and either plant new squash plants or something else because it is not gonna survive. And then just the other day I was looking at our broccoli plants and there was a few holes in them, and over 24 hours we came back out the next day and these plants started turning into skeletons. You could just see a little bit of these leaves, thing about and this that was about a 32-ounce bottle. Whole entire leaves in about 24 hours. And that's when we knew we had to do something about this because I took a look over at our kale next. Our kale started becoming the same thing, and we do not want to lose everything that we are working hard on. So we're doing a last-ditch effort here to try to protect our plants. All you're gonna need is about 1.5 tablespoons of the neem oil and then 1 tablespoon of any kind of dish soap that you have laying around, mixed with a quart at least of water, and mix those things up, shake it up. As soon as this neem oil came in the mail today, it was something that I wanted to put on these plants as soon as I could. Unfortunately, just like watering your plants, you don't want to put this on in any direct sunlight. So you either got to do it very early morning or late evening when the sun goes down. So finally time that we could put all this onto the plants. And we are just really hoping that this stops at least some of the pest problem. We understand that when you have a garden, especially one that is expanding and we are making bigger here, the more garden you have, the more pests you're gonna have. And we didn't do our best to try to prevent any of them this time around except for a few companion plants. But we're crossing our fingers that this does something for it. All right, the neem oil is sprayed throughout the garden, and hopefully, like I said, no pest. And more importantly, hopefully, we don't wake up to a dead garden tomorrow. I've heard really good things about the product, so it should do at least a little bit of damage. Like I said, I understand that we'll never get rid of pests completely, but we do want it to slow down. Some of these ones that we have a lot of, that we want to make sure that we get a lot of produce from. I mean, some of these ones like the squash and everything, we aren't the biggest eaters of squash anyways. So our squash plant getting eaten, it stinks, but whatever's left of it, we can either feed to the chickens or the pigs. So it's not the biggest loss, where we would be more of upset to lose like potatoes, tomatoes, cucumber, and flowers. You guys can't hear. Chelsea's there collecting our peas. Our pea plants are starting to die, so we're trying to harvest whatever peas that we have on there. And she loves her flowers, so she would hate for the flowers to get eaten, but the flowers have been looking good, so I don't think they're in any danger at the moment. Maybe we need to put more companion plants down next year or something. Yeah. We're figuring it out. People say they put nets over their plants to help protect against certain pests, and this year was our first year with this big of a garden, and we're learning, like I said, more plants, more pests. We have all of our garlic out to dry. No rain tonight, so that's good. And we even have our first cucumbers of the year. They grew a lot slower than they did last year, but once these start going, they don't stop. So we'll make sure that we're coming out, and we're probably in the part of the year now that we don't need to buy any cucumbers from the store anymore, unless the bugs eat them all. So we hopefully have successfully protected our chickens, because we don't want to lose any chickens, because then we lose eggs here. And hopefully protected the garden so that we have produce that we've been... You want to come up? And then hopefully protected our garden from any pests. We want to grow as much as we can this year. Yeah, you got cars? What does car say? Beep, beep. Beep, beep. We want to make sure that we're producing as much as we can this year. We want to try to store as much as we can and just see if we can handle this size garden. Because I know that Chelsea's still working. She could probably hear me, but you guys won't hear her. She's way back there over here in the garden. Is that if this goes well, we're expanding the garden again next year probably. It's kind of like chicken math for people that they just want to get more chickens. But Chelsea has garden math where she wants to keep expanding the garden. All right, you go down and play. Well, I hope I helped anyone out today that's trying to make sure their chickens and gardens stay protected. You guys have a great day and a better tomorrow. We'll see you guys in the next one.